What's good, everyone? This is Dev the Coolest.
And this is Ray Bang.
And this is JB.
And welcome to SlickTalk. Hey. I was trying to think of something else to say. We just said in the last episode. Okay. Hey. Hi.
How's it going?
How's it going?
Oh, God, no.
Welcome.
What's good, y'all?
What's good?
No? That's too trady?
That's
Too trade.
Come on, Trey.
Okay. That was ugly. That was demonic. Like, what? Hey, y'all. So today we've got some questions that were submitted by a few of you. We chose some to just talk about and answer. So that's what this episode is going to be.
Yeah.
Just responding to topics and questions that you guys
Listener's
submitted to us.
choice.
Yes, listener's choice. All right, so we haven't really talked about it beforehand, so we're kind of just going to go off the top of the head with our answers here.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh,
hopefully we can
I'm
answer.
nervous.
All right, so let's get with this first one. We won't say who submitted them for, we're going to keep y'all identities private. But first question here is, when women are single past a certain age, why do we assume it's because no one wants them?
Are we talking about like us specifically or just society?
No, just
I guess
feel like
society.
Okay, I'll answer that one.
Okay.
I think it's because society has already defined women as for men, in a sense. That women have to be in a relationship to be, I guess, successful in their womanhood.
Validated.
Or they have to be with child or have children. And people also don't realize that there's a lot of women out there that are like, marriage to them feels like a slavery, that they don't want that for themselves. They'd rather be in a equal partnership for the rest of their life and not have that stamp on there and not have to take somebody's last name.
Exactly.
And some people do not want to have children.
Yeah, no,
know?
absolutely.
Right. Or they just want to be by themselves.
Yes. And some people
They just wanna be by
don't
themselves.
see it for relationships.
Point blank. Like,
And-
they
Yeah.
don't.
And it's so sad because we don't give people that freedom. We always reminding them, family members, friends,
What
that
we see on TV.
that when you're gonna, gonna find a man, when you're gonna, have a child. And I know it's annoying because there's so many other fulfilling things you can be doing. Like, you get to travel the world. You get to
Listen.
change your career and not have to worry about how I'm gonna feed this child.
Yeah.
Or just get up and go, leave,
Right.
go to a
You
new
don't need
city.
permission.
Yeah,
There's a lot of blessings
and
with that.
not have to answer to nobody.
Absolutely.
So,
So-
we don't know why people assume that. They shouldn't. I mean, and like Ray Bay said, it's really because if whoever do think that, it's more so a societal pressure.
Exactly.
than anything
And I
else.
actually have a connection to that because I have an older sister who is about I think she's like 41, 42.
Come on, giving your sister's age on this podcast.
Nobody knows who she is. She low key. But
blessed.
nobody knows who she is. It is a blessing, yes. And she doesn't look that age.
Okay,
Love
good.
you. So yeah, she's that age and she's still rightfully single and handling her business,
Happy.
living her best life, doing the best that she can and, happy to the best of her abilities and, just, content on realizing that, she doesn't need a man to validate, anything or her existence at all. She's just doing her, and if it happens, it happens. But she's not putting that pressure on anything. I think it's really unfortunate that society does put that pressure on women to feel like they need to be with someone to feel validated in society. Or to even have kids. A lot of women are like, oh, I have to find a boyfriend or a husband in order to bring this child into the world. I think some of them, I can't speak from that perspective at all because I'm not a woman, but I think some of them probably feel that way because they don't want to get looked at a certain way for having a child and being a single mother. When realistically, if you're financially stable to take care of a child by yourself, do what you need to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid to do what you need to do because you feel like it's going to look a certain way in society. People don't matter. It's what you can do.
Right. And people need to mind their business.
Period.
There you go.
Don't worry about what somebody doing what they're doing. They're not harming you. So leave them alone. Let them be single if they want. You know
He
what
said
I'm
that was a
saying?
little bass in his voice. They not harming you.
They're not. So let people live their best life.
Period.
All right. We have another question here. How soon is too soon to say I love you to someone?
Probably like 5 hours. No, I'm just kidding.
1 minute.
Listen, after you guys have sex, I love you.
Oh God! Or
Or
during.
one night stand.
That's
I love
a
you.
little during.
I don't believe it during.
Yeah.
You
Well,
a motherfucking lie.
right. Exactly.
Period.
'Cause you just loving what I'm giving you right now.
Oh, bloopity.
Listen, giggity boop. No, but I don't like to put a time limit personally on love. Like if you love someone in 5 minutes, that's your thing. Now telling them that you love them
It's
in
a
that
whole
5,
different
that's
story.
a little
Yeah, you
that can
might
come
want to
across
hold that in a
little-
little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But kind of hold that, like respect people's boundaries. People ain't trying to, everybody's not in that space to be in
Yeah.
love in 5 minutes. I've never met anyone that's fallen in love in 5 minutes, but I'm sure, people say they fall in love at first sight or whatever. I don't believe in that either, but
Never done that.
to each their own. Now I would give it some time. I would say anything before 3 months is too soon.
Okay.
And that's to say it, not to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
I don't know. It's hard because, we basing it on our age. There are people that are older that know and they say it within a month and they have a great time and get
Yeah, we
married.
can always
and
speak
live
from our
life.
experiences,
Right.
so.
But there are people that tell you the older you are, the faster you know.
Mm-hmm. That's real.
So,
Dang, that's deep.
Right.
You said, but hold on. You said that? What'd
the
you say?
wiser you are, I guess, the faster you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes hand in hand with the older, but
Yeah.
I never heard that before.
Me neither, but that
Surprising,
makes
but
sense.
it makes sense, child.
I think
Listen.
sometimes, we get stuck in the I love you stage and realizing it's just attachment.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
not actually love. It's like your need to
It's
love
infatuation.
it's not exactly actually being in love, like where there's a reciprocal relationship. So I think until you see that person putting in what you're putting in and that you see the growth of your relationship, don't just hurry up and say I love you on a feeling because
Hello.
it's just words. It's you might as well just say I'm feeling attached to you right now.
Right. Like I like you a lot.
Yeah.
Like, there's no
I
wrong
really
with that. I
like
like
you.
you a lot. Like just and with that, like
Yeah.
the people fall in love with the idea too.
Yes.
And then they mistake that for being in love with
like
the person.
that person fits like.
The ideal
Exactly.
partner. And it's
Wait
like,
till you see the resume. Okay?
Right. Yeah, I don't know if you
Exactly.
love me as much as you love the idea of me.
Right.
So
I don't know. For me, I personally wouldn't. I couldn't put a timestamp on it at all. I feel like if you love somebody, if you feel like there's a ting in your heart and you feel like you really are, there's a connection between this person and you feel that love, I don't see why not. I feel like the actions that you take and
Yes.
that person takes
It's
after
a
those
verb.
words, after those words are spoken, that's a whole different story.
Right.
But and words do hold power, so I totally
Absolutely.
believe that. But I honestly feel like if you're responsible enough to know what that's saying and saying those words mean, you can say it whenever the hell you want to say it.
Okay.
Just be responsible with what you do after you say it and make sure that you're cognizant of what their actions
Boom.
Yeah.
of who you're saying.
I
it
like
to.
that
For
whole
me,
responsibility.
In the
with that
future,
word.
I'm not saying it until I see those actions first.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not just the ting in my heart. Now that shit, I fell for it several times. No, I'm not doing that.
He said not just the ting in my heart. That shit I felt. Okay.
All right.
Come on, Strong. I have a question
Yeah.
that somebody had said as well that I want to read. They asked, hey guys, can you see yourself living in another country?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, I've lived in
Living?
a
In what
different
country?
I've
Well, I
lived in
mean,
Haiti.
not,
Well,
okay,
yeah, you've
outside
lived.
of where you're from, please.
Okay, I lived in the Dominican Republic for 6 months. Before I moved here to the States. So being in a different country and learning a new language it's actually really dope.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you see yourself living in a foreign country that wouldn't be have any
Yes,
type
because you
of
know what? In the state of
familiarity?
this country, it's looking like it's a big reality for me.
Okay. Do you have one in mind?
Mm,
Just to attach to that.
well, I mean, you know what? For me, it's a little bit easier than most people because a lot of people, their barrier is the language, right? For me, I look at the language, the and the laws and stuff like that, and those are things I'm very like into.
Yeah.
So I like to look up in countries and what laws they have, what are their LGBT rights and stuff like that. And I speak several languages, so it's easier for me to say yes, I can. But for somebody from the U.S. who maybe speaks one language and has to learn something completely different and have to navigate something completely different, it's a different reality for them.
Yeah, I guess I fall into that latter part. But it's not because of language. While yes, our country is in a very interesting state right now, I do believe in our country. Like I'm one of those rare Democrats, because it seems like Democrats now are going a little too left, where it's like I won't say extremists, but we're, the party's a little interesting nowadays. But I do believe in our country, and I do kneel, for the national anthem, blah blah blah. But I would never like stomp on the flag or burn the flag. Like I respect the flag, right? And we are awarded a lot of privileges here, if you want to recognize it or not.
This
it
is the best
what
country,
it is,
period.
especially
so
California.
I don't care what anybody says.
California specifically, like living in California, I love it. Now visiting other countries, absolutely, because that's doing a disservice to my life, having this whole world to be able to explore it and not seeing what everything else has to offer. I've never been to Africa. I considered moving there.
Really?
Yeah, I consider moving there because they're kind
specific?
of like low key, like they're on the rise, on the low. I don't know specifically. It'll definitely be Western Africa though. Okay, probably like near the hook. Like I found out I'm from Cameroon. My ancestors.
Come on, African.
So, somewhere in that area, but I haven't been there yet. So right now in my current state, I would not. Live in another country.
One thing I'll say though, a lot of people are quick to say America is the best country in the world, but you haven't lived somewhere else.
Well, I mean, you don't necessarily have to live somewhere else to understand the differences between another country and America.
But then that's also people's opinion versus yours, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
But it's an informed opinion. Like people that have lived in other countries, there are a lot of Americans that left and they're living in other countries like, I ain't coming back.
Right. And
because of that, because their experience there.
Exactly. And I know a lot of people that have left, moved to another country and came back. They were like...
in the same country as the other person that said this is the best country, that better than the United States. So I guess it's all different perspectives.
Yeah.
Like we can cuss out and go bad on Trump online, but you can't do that in a slew of other countries. You will be in jail that day. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just one of the rights that we have in this country that some people we take for granted.
And you also I can take into consideration that, granted, we are highly oppressed here as black men in America, and our lives are being taken. But going to a different country where our lives may not be getting taken, or we may not be as oppressed, but we're not even close to being on the same level as some, people that
colorism is real.
Exactly. That's how I felt. That's specifically how I felt when I went to Berlin. I mean, I have to call out.
Right. No,
like when I went to Berlin,
like
literally, I didn't feel comfortable at all.
Well, I mean, racism is global, even in countries in Africa.
Right. Absolutely.
So, this is something that if you think that's what you're trying to escape, it's really not. But for me, I'm looking at how Black Americans are treated here in the U.S. And we look through a window of other countries and we think like that their experience is worse. But there are people that will tell you like, you live in some parts of this country, it looks like a third world country.
Well, I mean, I get that.
Yeah,
I get that, and I can only speak from my opinion. And I know. I'm gonna keep saying it because to Ray Bay's point, yes, because it sounds like you're kind of getting to that point of what I just said of me not leaving this country. Is that like I'm not looking at it from a small window. I'm looking at it from knowing and doing research, which is why I considered moving to Africa. I know Africa is not. First of all, it's a continent, so it's not a third world country or a third world continent. There are definitely amazing advancements that are happening in Africa right now. But what I said is what I said. We are awarded a lot of privileges here that we take for granted. That yes, we are oppressed in a lot of ways. We are also awarded a lot of privileges.
For me specifically, I definitely would live in another country. Will I stay in that country? Absolutely not. I think I would always come home to, where I'm familiar with and what I know. And like I've said before, I said what I said, I personally believe that United States is the best country in the world. That not too much is going to change my opinion on that. Okay. And you personally know that I've traveled a lot. I haven't traveled everywhere, but I've traveled a lot. And before I travel, I actually do my research and I figure out where I want to go for those specific specific reasons.
Yeah.
So where I've been specifically, I mean, taken to a part, I was in Tokyo not too long, and I don't mean to sound like an elitist by calling out these countries, but when I was in Tokyo, I don't want to come across like that.
Yeah.
But like in Tokyo, I couldn't see myself living there. Not to say that I didn't enjoy it, and not to say that it's not a beautiful place, but I just feel like culturally, I would stand out entirely too much.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just need a little bit more diversity. Diversity in that sense.
Okay.
Right. So I mean, I love the place, but I just couldn't live there. If I had to think of a place, I mean, I haven't been too many places. I know I would just leave it at I would live in a different country, and I would actually recommend if people could spend at least 6 months to a year, if you have the means to go live in a different country, please, by all means, go do that. I feel like it's important to see, I mean, wherever you feel is necessary to live. But yeah, I definitely would eventually end up coming back home and, you know, unless, you know, I'm just speaking from right now.
Right. And
you
that's,
know, just speaking from right now. But
Same here. We'll see after my trip to Cameroon if I come back.
All right. I might find you a boo out there now.
Hello.
Get
Well,
married.
see, that's the thing. Well, hopefully I can and not have to be discreet. And
you would definitely have to be discreet.
Exactly. See? Okay.
I feel like Africa's gonna be the last on the list to change laws.
Actually, a lot of African countries are LGBT
Rebe has the next question.
friendly.
Doesn't mean that the laws are, though.
This question was heavy because I think it goes very well with, you know, dating life in this day and age. So how do you get over someone you never really were with?
Ooh. You want me to start that?
So your situationships. How do you get over your situationships?
To be honest with you, I've had a few encounters like that with people that I've entertained or that I've dated, where it definitely felt like it would have been leading up to a relationship, but it stopped. And it just stopped at dating and talking, and it didn't, in a situationship, it didn't go past anything like that. And to be honest with you, to be quite frank, I'm happy it didn't. Because I feel like, and I've said this over and over again, the next relationship that I get in, I want it to be my last relationship, and I want it to lead to marriage. So if we can't get past, you know, dating and the situationship and we're breaking up or going off and on, then that means that wasn't for me, period.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not really, really old, but I'm getting to an age where I need stability, I need consistency, and of course I need all the other stuff, love and affection and, you know, things that come with that. So, you know, right now, having that mindset of knowing what I want and knowing what I deserve, it pushes me and it motivates me to focus on other things outside of what I just got out of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, listen, you shouldn't be focused on that no more. Move the hell on.
Right.
Because for one, it wasn't a relationship.
Take the lesson.
And for two, God is blessing your life tremendously.
Yes.
Right.
So
May
that's
not know it
another
in the
blessing
moment,
thing for
but-
me. In the moment, in the moment it may feel a little thing,
Yeah.
but you look at the bigger picture and you understand that there's billions of people that live in this world, and you're
Billion.
there's billions, and you're literally going to try to get upset over somebody that, you know, it didn't even turn to a relationship. About having perspective.
Right.
Perspective is key for me
Absolutely.
specifically. So
Yeah, it really depends, I think, on the individual. I hella agree with you, JB. Justin.
my name ain't Justin, my name JB.
Might as well just say it. No, I hella agree with you. And my emotional ass, it is hard for me to let people go if I've invested myself emotionally to you. So I don't allow myself to get in situationships, or I try not to. But when I do, I am invested. And what I will do, what I know going forward, is I will make sure I establish those boundaries. And I'm like, okay, look, we 6 months in this thing. What are we doing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to keep riding this out
Period.
because you're unsure about what you want to do.
Yeah.
And you said the key word too, 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Right, by half a year, you know. If we're talking 6
know.
months, like, and the thing is, it doesn't even necessarily need to be like, boom, hardcore. Like, let's be exclusive at this point. Like, let's really explore dating and seeing how we work together, just together. You know what I'm saying? But it takes me a while to get over people that I'm emotionally attached to. So you just got to give it time. That's how,
Yeah.
that's my, time.
That's big.
for everybody, yeah.
I think for me, I've kind of became a realist when it came to relationships. And now I'm looking at people's actions to speak louder than the words they were saying. Because
Come on, Vert.
you're never going to let me live that down.
No, I love that you said that. Yeah. You
it's,
said love is a verb.
And the thing
Yeah.
is, it's, you can still be an optimistic, but don't miss those red flags, and
Right.
don't miss like the lack of action as well. So,
But also, in addition to that, not to cut you off,
Yeah.
but make sure that the red flags that you are calling red flags are actual red flags,
And not insecurities.
and not insecurities. Period. Because it's a thin line. You may think it's a red flag, and it's something that has to do with you. Period. But not necessarily you specifically. I'm
I
sorry.
just felt like that was for somebody
Oh
specific.
no. I don't play them games.
Oh no!
It's just everything.
No!
Everything is
no.
general over
Yeah.
No,
here.
for me, I
I'm
believe
serious. Everything is general.
just accept it for what it is. And also, I'm a spiritual person as well. I feel that sometimes when something you were hoping to be a relationship is removed from your life, it's probably because you are not following within your purpose.
Period.
You give up some things, chasing after somebody that, God, the source, the creator, the universe, was like, you know what? This is not what I had planned for you. So it might be a sad moment right now. Just focus on the things you enjoy. Focus on plans that you had before, and everything that you maybe wanted that person to give you, give it to yourself.
Yeah.
Or what you were giving to that person.
Exactly.
Give it to yourself.
Bring it back to yourself. Self-love is so important before you go into trying to love somebody else.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Love somebody that's in love, that loves himself as well.
Oh.
Because loving someone for yourself, like for them and you, is one of the most dreamy things
It was
ever.
Ray this time.
No, but that's real.
Yeah.
That's real. Because we are not responsible for you loving yourself. Like, you're responsible for your own self.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
A lot of people get attached to people that like, okay, I want to fix them.
Yeah.
But if that person is pushing you away, look,
Let it go.
just take that as a message. Let it go.
The same person said, "Oh, and cheating" with the laughing emoji. Oh, and cheating.
Oh, and cheating.
Elaborate on that.
I guess because the question was, how do you get over someone you were never really with?
Mm-hmm.
I guess, how do you get over cheating?
Oh, somebody cheating on you?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's,
Do you want me to start?
yeah. Well, mine's just time, but that's my answer.
Don't focus so much on why the person cheated on you. People don't cheat on you for something that you didn't give them. It's something that they're missing in themselves.
Ooh.
So a lot of times people cheat because they want validation.
What?
You know,
No, but
they want
I get where you're
validation
going
and they
to.
want to feel like because I mean in this day and age you do not have to cheat. You don't like
Yeah, if you
literally-
use your words and communicate,
Exactly.
you don't have to cheat.
And
you
that's
know,
the
there's
big
so many
thing.
options. There's open relationships. There's, you can just be single and just having sex.
Right.
You don't have to cheat. You can just tell somebody, hey, I'm dating you, but I'm also like not
Messing
exclusive with
around,
you.
Yeah.
So when you do decide to be with someone, if it's not working out, the best thing you could do is just like, hey, let's end the relationship because I feel like I need to search for something else outside of this partnership.
So how would you get over that cheating then?
Yeah.
Again, give it time and don't take it personal.
Yeah.
Even though it is, like, literally do not take it personal.
I think everybody's circumstance is different, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, granted, there's never an excuse to kind of like I'm not trying to give anyone an excuse for cheating because it's wrong if you're in a relationship, but I will say is that I can understand why some people do.
Yeah.
Right. That doesn't mean that I get
That
it.
it's
I mean, I
good.
just understand. That doesn't mean that it's good. I just mean that
That's
I
the thing.
understand
Yeah,
it.
we do understand.
So for me, thankfully, I, to my knowledge, haven't been cheated on, which actually makes me feel really good because I'm an emotional person and I would take it to heart. But on the opposite side, I actually have been the one that has cheated on, and I've mentioned that on the podcast. I mean, that I've cheated on someone, and I've mentioned that on the podcast before. And to your point, I actually it wasn't something that I was missing with inside, it was something that I wasn't getting. And I know that I wasn't getting it, but I was sticking around because of my admiration and my just love for this person. So just as a sidebar, because I know that's not the initial question, for some people, just to give the other side, for some people, it's not necessarily what I'm missing inside. It's sometimes what is just not being fulfilled, right? Because you want to be fulfilled in the relationship. What my issue was and what the problem was is what Dev said, is that I didn't communicate that. Because had I communicated that, then maybe the person could have said, well, I know I can't fulfill you in this way, so how about we do this? Or how about we just end it right now and just become friends?
Right.
So I just didn't communicate that, and that's something that I do regret. Instead of communicating that, I didn't. But I mean, who wants to have that conversation, right?
Right.
It's a tough conversation.
When you're in the situation,
Yeah.
it's a little scary because you don't want to hurt anyone, and you don't want to lose the person that you potentially love.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but I'm reformed. I'm reformed now, so I know I'm grown.
Come on, say that by the Holy Ghost.
Reformed.
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 Saved.
Okay. Yes.
I don't necessarily. I definitely am a better person, so I don't cheat.
Yeah. Just take it a day at a time. That's how. Just take it a day at a time. Last question we have here. When is it okay to move into someone's space with them? When is it okay?
You started off right. Dev, what do you think?
When is it okay to move into someone's? When you married?
Really? Mm-hmm. So how long? So then the question that attached to that is, how long do you think it'll be until you guys get married?
Depends. So I have a caveat to that though. So when you're married is when you should move in, but you should be staying with each other kind of like on and off, like while you're dating, right? Like I would imagine, like in my mind, a relationship looks like my partner would be staying maybe a weekend with me, but I need my space, right? So we're seeing how we live with each other. However, we're not obligated to like live with each other unless we're both like financially struggling, and then at that point I think that's kind of murky because I'm staying with you for financial stability.
Don't do it.
Exactly, right. I wouldn't want to do that, but in the Bay Area,
In
California, period. But I think when move in, like sign the lease with each other is when you're married for me.
You know what? I agree. I've lived with someone for 3 years, and I feel that if we did not move in with each other, we would have realized some stuff about our relationship way earlier. And that's probably something I'm thinking about. Like, if I'm not saying I will never live with someone again, but I have to be so comfortable with you that I've seen so many sides of you that this is the next step we get to explore.
Right.
Not me figuring out a whole lot of stuff about you while we're living together.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people don't understand like how much that is.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Taking stuff in increments is great for a relationship.
Yeah.
Stay with them for a weekend, maybe graduate to half a week.
Right, exactly. Right.
And
you want to spend time because eventually you will move in with each other, so you want to make sure. But
Right.
I feel you on that.
And there's sometimes there's a lot about somebody living with somebody that scares us because we haven't made that commitment that we're going to be with them.
Right.
That seems so much bigger than when you are married. Because when you're married, it's like we made a commitment, we're going to make this work.
Right.
And then you figure out, you have a responsibility to do it.
Yeah.
But when you move in with someone, when you see those things, it's almost like you want to run away, So.
I kind of disagree.
You disagree?
I think that for me, I think after a year, after a year of knowing someone and dating and having the one drawer at the place or the apartment, and spending weekends like Dev was saying, like you guys were saying, after a year, I feel like by that time, I should know this person by now. I feel like, I think there's a study that came out that said you don't truly know someone until after like 2.5 or 2 years or something.
Yeah, I think it's 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's 2 years. I think that after a year, I feel like you should already know who that person is, right? So I think if you see yourself being in a consistent relationship with them or potentially getting married, I feel like moving in should be a step that you do early on so you can see how you guys interact underneath the same space. And you don't have to, because being in a relationship, not living together is totally different than being in a relationship living with. You get to really know somebody when you're living with them. Like there's no breaks.
So you don't feel like you would get that from like Ray Bay was saying, like half a week?
Absolutely not. Because I mean, half a week, you're not consistently seeing a person. You're seeing a person, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What are they doing on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday? Somebody's doing something
Out of
different
my
on days.
face.
Clearly. But I'm just saying,
I
like, seeing somebody's, my thing is a pattern, right? So I don't think too much of a pattern can happen in 3 days. If you're with somebody for a consistent week or a consistent 2 weeks, you get to notice a pattern of what they do, what time they wake up, when they have breakfast.
Well, I would give it that maybe like 2 weeks, but after the 2 weeks, get out.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm sorry. I'm just messing with
I get
you.
that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I feel like it's a scary thing to do. But for me specifically, I know that if I move in after a year and it doesn't work out, then it just doesn't work out, and I have to move on and be a man and be an adult and find my own shit, or have them find their own shit. So what is the whole big deal of moving in? If you guys really like each other or possibly love each other at that point, you guys shouldn't mind being underneath each other. Not saying every day,
right?
Not saying that you guys have to be under. You guys can still live and coexist in the same apartment or same place, and not necessarily have to see each other consistently, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You can still live with this person and go about your own day and everything like that, but I feel like, if you want to build something, really living with someone changes the playing field completely.
I feel that.
It's completely.
Yeah, I feel that.
You see a person's true colors when you live with them.
Oh, absolutely.
Listen.
You really do. You see everything. So
And
I
that's
guess, I guess it's like after a year in marriage. It's kind of like where we're split.
I still stick to marriage, or actually get engaged and then move in with each other.
Or engagement. I can do that. I can
get
do
engaged.
engagement.
It's a nice little middle ground.
a little bit to bring it down to engagement at least.
Okay.
Well, because at that point, hopefully the engagement works out.
You know what? I like engagement, because when you're engaged, that's when you're like, okay, we're on the road to get married, but you still can get out.
Yeah, right. And I will also say, we will wrap it up, time too. So to your year point, like if I'm with somebody for 5 years, we're moving in. Like why are we still not living together?
You're more than halfway to a common law marriage.
Exactly. Like it's like we're come on now. After 3 years, I would say. Like at that point though, I would hope we're engaged in my mind.
So I guess that also plays a point of time.
Yeah.
Time in general for everyone.
Yeah. So I feel like we all just gave like hella different answers. But I think it's time.
Here's what I have one thing that I told myself. I'm not marrying anyone until we've traveled to 5 continents together.
Okay.
Really?
I hope y'all got the card.
And I want us to have a long stay there, because that's one of my biggest passions is traveling.
Right.
And I love adventure.
And you'll be able to see somebody's true colors in a whole other
Exactly.
situation. Country,
I don't want to find out that I'm marrying somebody that could like get me in jail overseas. You got to know how to act.
Not jail overseas. Don't do that.
Ooh.
But
he said, "Ooh, come on, Rick Ross."
Okay.
Yeah.
But also you get to see them in different settings and how they interact with different people.
Yeah. And that's important.
And for me, it's kind of like, just moving in together, it's like, okay, we're jumping straight to the nesting stage. I want the adventure. I want you to remember I'm somebody who likes
Let's argue in Australia.
Ooh, that's sexier.
Let's argue.
That is way sexier than like arguing in your little apartment. Like just
right? Because then you'll know.
Let me get mad and let me go to the beach real quick.
Right, and then I'll come back and give you some head.
Anyway,
so we answered all of most of the questions that we had time to answer today. But keep the questions coming. We have a lot more.
Keep them coming. Those are some good questions.
Those are good questions. Look at y'all. See, we need to bring y'all on the podcast more often.
Anybody can come.
Yeah. Well, not anybody.
Don't say that.
Right. Yeah, not anybody. R. Kelly's
I
want to
talk about my baby daddy.
Right. And like, okay, well, go call him. No, but I thank y'all so much for listening to Slick Talk. Another action-packed episode.
Thank you. Got it.
All right, y'all. Like, subscribe, comment, everything. Follow at SlickTalk Podcast _podcast. And we'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
Sounds great. Peace out.